1. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today, folks. But, I am very rolling my R's and not rolling my R's upset at New York. I feel passion for New York. I feel passion for the governor of New York, the excellent job that he's doing. But I feel nothing but rage for what they are doing. Not to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is playing ball very well right now with the Democratic Party. But, however, we have to be concerned about the disrespect, the dishonor, the mean-heartedness that Bernie supporters are getting right now. And I think if things don't change, if the Democratic Party does not decide that after winning, you can't be magnanimous. You cannot, in your win, appeal to those who were, well, we weren't going to go there yet, because before I really get to the program, what I want to do is I want to go over a whole lot of videos that I did earlier this over the weekend, because there's a whole lot of stuff happening that I want to go over with you guys. But folks, if you're just joining us, I want to kindly ask you, the first thing that we should be doing when we are coming into this program, I ask, I beg, I implore, I request, anything that says I ask you to do, please immediately share this program. Please let people know about us. Please let people know what we are doing. Please let people know that we are going to make a difference no matter what, no matter who is elected, that we are the movement that intend to remain. We are the movement that intends to change minds. We are the movement that is going to go ahead and make sure that all Americans, every single American of every single stripe, is represented honestly, is represented accurately, is respected, has honor. That is what we are all about. We are about empowering people. We are about making sure that people get what they've earned. We are into making sure that no one is taken advantage of. We are into not appeasing, but we are into building. We are not into asking. We are into taking what is ours. We are not into appeasing, but we are into making sure we get what is due. Folks, if you're just joining us, I ask thee so kindly, please go ahead and share these programs. It is essential if we are going to make that difference that we must make. It is essential if we are going to be that change that we tell everybody. Remember, our movement tells people all of the times, the progressive movement is big. The progressive movement is right. The progressive movement is that movement that America has been asking for. It is that movement that too many, however, in America just think is unattainable. And in thinking it's unattainable, it's many of the times the reasons we don't go for broke. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you, we are reaching the state in this country where it is becoming time to go for broke. It is time to go for broke. So, today's show, I want you to listen. Today is a very positive show. We are going to be positive. We are not here to, this is not a show about saying, hey, you stole it from Bernie. Bernie's a big boy. That's not what this show is about. This show is not about screaming, Bernie got screwed, or that's not what this show is about. This show is about empowerment now. Where do we go from here? But anyhow, let's get started with a few things and then we'll get into the show proper. What I want to do is I want to show you a few things that happen. I want to first show you this coronavirus is a bad thing. But you know, out of bad things, every now and then something nice shows up. And it was beautiful to watch on Meet the Press yesterday that Chuck Todd and his producers and his teams noticed that. And I wanted to show a little bit about that because it brought a smile to my face. It was like, we can breathe. And maybe people can start to see that we can do things a little bit more, a little differently and still come out on the positive side. We can do a few things a little bit differently and come out on the positive side. So what I want to do, my brothers and my sisters, is show you just this little cut. Check this out.
There's a good thing about this economic crisis. It's been the clean air and views we haven't seen for a long time. Take a look. Take a look.
Okay, so you saw that with us driving so much less, with factories not putting out as much, guess what? The environment is starting to recover. And the environment is that thing that can really recover quickly. And you can see a few weeks of not a huge amount of activity and our environment is coming down. This is highly a good reason for us to push the Green New Deal, because if we're saying, hey, we still want to manufacture, we still want to have a good time, let's just do it in an environmentally friendly way, create new jobs, do all these things environmentally friendly. Look at what we can have. We can have beautiful skies. We can see all those old structures of historical value that we used to see and that we used to like. Can't we do that? Of course we can. It's just that it's a different group of folk that's going to do it, and those plutocrats who are making easy money out of just taking $2 a barrel oil out of the ground, that's what they want to keep doing. Stephen, welcome aboard. Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard. Kathleen Marin Morgan, welcome aboard. Let's see who else. If I missed anybody, I'll catch you later. Anyhow, folks, you know, if you remember this weekend, or let's see. First, I want to show you what created a whole lot of hoopla. This is who our president is. Okay, check this out.
And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside? Is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Almost a cleaning.
Yeah, sorry guys, that is our president. That is our president. That is our president. Now, the reason the president over the last 3+ years has been able to be that confoundedly nincompoop, that confounded person that is, I mean, he definitely does have a lack of intellect, but we had a lot of presidents with that lacking, that one never quite knew it because, again, he was insulated behind the people that actually run the government, and these people that actually run the government weren't all that crazy. They weren't sycophants. They didn't they didn't allow that president to lead where he couldn't lead. That's unfortunately is not what occurs here. Okay, so what I love, however, is that there are few who push back, but the reason why this president can do what he does, the reason why this president continues to be the type of president that he is, and he can continue to be foolish, is because of the professional sycophant. The professional sycophant is always there to protect the president. And I want to show you one. Here's a doctor talking on MSNBC to a host. And in the process of wanting to query favor with the president, in the process of wanting some positive affirmation from this president, he probably wants a favor. He tries to make light of the ridiculous and dangerous statements the president made. I just want to play a little piece of what he said. Check this out.
This weekend, the use of UV lights has been much maligned, but UVC lighting, upper room,
only in the
indirect
body, only in
UVC
the body, doctor.
Only in the body.
Okay, I hope you grasp that. Let me play that again because I need you guys to understand what happened there. Check this out.
This weekend, the use of UV lights has been much maligned, but UVC lighting, upper room,
only in the
indirect
body, only in
UVC
the body, doctor.
Only in the body.
I am so happy, Nicole. And this is the kind of reporting we have to do now, right? A lot of times these reporters have allowed these guys to talk and make their case. And after they make their case, by then, some of your people you've lost. So what the message that those sycophants put out there actually stays, right? Because, I guess the president wasn't all that cuckoo after all. No, the president was cuckoo. And what Nicole Wallace did right there is as soon as this sycophant attempted to give the impression that, the president wasn't all that off, she came right there and said, only in the body. You know, bleach kills, but you know what? You don't want to put it in the body. You know, they irradiate food to make it sterile, but you know what? You don't want to irradiate your body, right? So she gave it the context that many times is not given. Now, we also have Dr. Birx, right? Dr. Birx is the person who is supposed to be the leader to the country on their health issues and under this pandemic, under the COVID pandemic. One wants to respect her, but I tell you what, we can't. And the good thing about it is she got herself called out by Andrea Mitchell. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. We continue to wonder, what is it about Trump that creates an entire class of professional sycophants? It's just amazing that people are willing to lose their reputations with this guy. And one has to wonder exactly why. But check this out.
Andrea Mitchell, I want to start with the political response collectively. There's the president, and then there's everyone else. And I don't know how much of it you believe the president is sort of coloring the atmosphere, which is why it looks like Congress is slow off the mark here, or we're just got to be prepared for a polarized Congress going forward.
Well, I think the president is going his own way with misinformation, with those daily briefings, which we now are told he is suspending. He's finally backing off. I'll believe it when I see it after this weekend as to whether he resumes, because he so needs to fill his own demand, his need for self-congratulation, really, and for to show what he believes is leadership, that we've seen dangerous, toxic advice coming from the White House. And unfortunately, I think that the credibility of the scientists really now is on the line, that they have to decide whether to stay inside and be valuable or whether or not they have to see another alternative like Jim Mattis and quit. Because when Dr. Birx said to you today that sunlight does kill the virus, she is perpetuating an unscientific, untested, single study presented by a non-scientist from the Department of Homeland Security, which led to the president, as she put it, not fully digesting the data. She needed to be very clear on disavowing it, and to this point, she still has not been, even this morning.
When Andrea Mitchell gets, in her own way, pretty darn mad, when she really hits somebody pretty hard in her own way, you know it is serious. Well, today that is exactly what she did with President Trump's coronavirus doctor, Deborah Birch. I mean, it's amazing the way she went at her and the way she discredited her, something that needed to be done. If that isn't striking, I don't know what is. Okay, so I hope you got that as far as it's concerned. You listen to Andrea Mitchell. Andrea is always very calm. And she kind of never hits up anybody, Republican or otherwise. And this time around, she actually came out and said, oh, no, she didn't answer the question at all. And not only that, she, in effect, the only thing Andrea didn't say was, oh, she's a sycophant, which is what she should have said. Oh, yes, she's a sycophant. All right. Now, again, the reason the president gets away with all the things that he gets away with is that he continues to have professional sycophants. His attorney general, Barr, is a sycophant. A guy that, yes, he had a bad reputation and he's but you have a bad reputation for sort of powerful. I don't even know how to say this. But the truth of the matter is, there is something about this president where professional sycophants are there for two reasons, I think. I think numero uno is likely the president has his mafia guys knowing secrets about some of these guys that make them have to stay with him. And I'm speculating here, folks. I am not telling you guys that I have any evidence of that. I am trying to infer. You know, if you're a scientist, you know the exact reasons, but there are times that you have to create hypotheses, and some hypotheses are made off of some. I don't want to say logic, because in a science, from known things, what are things that can cause people to? What are all the factors that can cause somebody to be a sycophant? Under threat, right? Because if they decided not to, they would be hurt. That is one possibility. And another possibility is that they just want something out of the president specifically, or they want something out of the government specifically. So when you itemize all the possibilities that could cause somebody to be a sycophant, you then can create a table of what are the outcomes based on all of these. So I mean, those are how hypotheses are built, right? You don't have the exact set of facts, so you create the possibility of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you expand based on what each of those are, right? Anyhow, so I honestly think one of them is that possibility. Anyhow, so that is how we get sycophants. But the media is coming awake. The media is starting to perform somewhat. The mainstream media. They still cannot hit corporations proper because they're owned by the corporations. So therefore they are very tepid in their critique of particular corporations. They're very tepid in their critique of the institution, of the capitalistic institution, right? But Trump is so bad that I'm starting to see people who don't normally speak out, and I'm happy for that. It's not the best, because it means instead of being crazy, what we get is we just maintain the neoliberal status quo. So let me go ahead and play Chuck Todd from Meet the Press. It's the beginning. It's how he started the program. And the way he started the program was so powerful. And I want you guys to see this, because not everybody sits down and watch all these programs. I do it for you, my brothers and my sisters. I got to watch them all. I watch them, I get clips from them, I cut them so that we can bring it into a sort of a program, put them all together from different stuffs and put it into a program. But check this out from Chuck Todd, and we'll take it on the other side. Chuck Todd did an excellent piece right at the beginning of Meet the Press today. It was a devastating state of affairs for the president. And I think after you see this, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. When he encapsulates everything that shows the degradation of what occurred during this coronavirus pandemic, it makes it obvious, it makes it clear that what we have is a failure of leadership. But deeper, what we have is somebody in office that's making things worse and that has the lives of every American in danger. Check this out.
To give you some perspective on how devastating the coronavirus has been, consider this. There have now been more than 900,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the United States, with over 53,000 deaths. Look at that number of deaths for a moment. Sometime this week, we're likely to pass the 58,000 lives we lost in Vietnam. That death toll took us more than a decade to hit. This has taken us about 12 weeks. In the past 7 days, at least 17 states and Washington, D.C. have registered their highest ever one-day total of coronavirus cases. The national curve may be flattening, but it's flattening at a very high level. What's now clear is that we as a country, particularly on the government level, have failed to meet the moment. There's not enough testing to understand the challenge we're confronting. 26 million people so far have filed for unemployment, wiping out the gains made since the 2008 financial crisis. Money is not getting to the small businesses that need it to survive. And the President of the United States is floating ideas like injecting disinfectants into sick patients. It's against this backdrop that some of the nation's governors are taking the risky step of opening their states for business. Behind that decision, a brutal calculation that the unemployment, the hunger, the depression, and the social dislocations of a stalled economy are worse than the certainty of an even more larger death toll from COVID-19 as businesses reopen. Healthcare experts acknowledge the necessity of getting people back to work, but warn that moving too early could invite a second wave with disastrous consequences.
That you can't argue. Oh, you know what? I don't think I actually finished that piece, but that's okay. I can continue here. What Chuck Todd just said there, or that piece that he just did there, was prescient, right? In other words, it actually shows exactly what is happening. And we don't normally get that. So people don't get the whole picture, right? They don't get the whole picture of this is causing this is causing the other. And with all the unemployment, that was a great piece. Now, it was just the entry to the program. So there's for each of those steps or items that he did, one could expand on it without a problem, right? So that is something that we can actually talk about. Now, what is interesting is a lot of people are starting to talk back. Democrats have always been known as those people who keep things on a higher level. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, your disregard for people complaining, your disregard for criticisms, a lot of times can seem like elitism, even if you are correct. In other words, if you know that you are so right, that if somebody goes ahead and critiques you, you simply let it slide and you just forget about it. To that person, they believe that you simply either will take a kick without responding, you are weak. That's one option that they consider. The other option they consider is that you simply think you're so much above that you don't have to call them out. And of course, there's a balance. The balance is if somebody critiques you, let me speak personally. I get a lot of critiques in a lot of areas, and I accept them. And not only do I accept them, there are many that I simply ignore. And the ones that you ignore are the ones that you're coming out of a place of malice. Out of a place of malice. You ignore those because, it's not even worth your time. But there are people that really have true disagreements with you that, you want to challenge it. And the reason you want to challenge it is to make sure that you don't leave anything on the table. Now, there is a middle point, however. When you're a politician, when you're making policy, it is your responsibility to know that your audience have a lot of all these different groups of people. And notice I said earlier, personally. Personally, if you come against me, personally, if they come against somebody, a lot of times you can just let it go awash, right? Because you can make that determination that this particular thing is out of malice, it doesn't have an effect on you, etc., etc., etc. However, because if you're making policy, you're in government, you have an audience. You have people that are listening, and your silence may not be the reason that they accept your silence. So you have to push back. Democrats, a lot of times, are very poor in their pushback or the manner in which they push back. I love what Cuomo has been doing, and Cuomo did it today again. The president, first it was Mitch McConnell who told Cuomo that, oh, we're going to let you states go bankrupt, or let's just let your states go bankrupt. And he reminded him that these guys are not, that the ones who really take from the government are these darn red states. Well, today the president kind of wanted to expand on that. I guess he was pissed off that Cuomo went ahead and hit the red states, the people who are there to vote for him. So he is going to come and protect the red states now. So even as he had a conversation with Cuomo, he still points out that, he doesn't want to go ahead and give freeloader, but he doesn't want to give bailouts, right? Well, Cuomo came back, and Cuomo again came back hard. And what I did is, Cuomo is very long-winded, and he speaks for a long time. Some people say I can get long-winded sometimes. When I get too long-winded, a lot of people always say, okay, better get to the point. All right. But anyhow, this was Cuomo's response. And I think Cuomo did the perfect thing, and he had the right tonality and the works. Check this out.
Governor, you said you spoke to Donald Trump this morning, the president, correct?
Yes, sir.
About what time was that, ballpark?
Oh, I don't know.
I ask because at about an hour ago, he posited about poorly run states, in all cases Democrat run and managed, looking for bailout help. Did you discuss, first of all, federal monies coming down to the state of New York? And second of all, how do you feel about him referring to that as a bailout?
No, I didn't discuss that with the president. Look, first, I believe, and I said at the time, I was consistent, the last bill that they passed that only did small business help, and everybody supported small business help, should have included state and local. Police, fire, teachers, hospital workers. How can you exclude them when you're talking about priorities? I don't know why they passed the bill without including that at the time. And I said that. I said it to my congressional delegation. Everybody said, oh, don't worry, that'll be in the next bill. Yeah, but that was the third time they said that'll be in the next bill. Bailout. This is not the time to be talking about dollars and cents among members of a community that are trying to be mutually supportive and help each other, because helping each other is the way we actually all advance, right? This is not the time to be saying, well, you put in $1 more than I did, or I put in $5 more than you did, right? It's anachronistic to the concept of community and sharing and mutuality and sharing benefits and burdens, right? I'm wearing a mask to protect you. You're wearing a mask to protect me. That kind of sharing and mutuality is repugnant to this bailout. You got this much, I got this much. But if you want to go to who's getting bailed out and who paid what, nobody would be bailing out New York State. New York State has been bailing them out every year for decades. If you want to do an analysis of who is a giver and who is a taker, we are the number one giver. The number one giver. Nobody puts more money into the pot than the state of New York. We're the number one donor state. And if you want to look at who happen to be the donor states, who are the giver states, they are the same states that they're talking about now. Who are the taker states? Kentucky, southeast part of the country. And by the way, if you actually want to call for an accounting, and I don't think it's healthy, you're making a mistake, because you lose. You lose.
Yes, he does, Senor Rodnan. He goes ahead and he likes to repeat himself. That's why, actually, if you call that repeating himself, you ought to see how much I cut out. That was actually, that piece that I cut down to 3 minutes was actually 7 minutes long. And I got to cut out most of the repetitions. But I mean, it's effective the way he does it. I love the way Cuomo talks, right? If you're sitting down there, he kind of sings the way he talks, and I can deal with it. But when you have a 1 hour program to get through, you have to be a little bit mindful of the audience. So what I do is I get these videos and I cut them into such a manner that you guys don't have to sit down and hear the repetition, because we have a show to do. We got a show to do. Okay, folks, today's show again was titled, I always like to start with those beginning videos because what we do, right, is we go ahead and kind of leave a context of where the society is right now with regards to COVID-19, with regards to the parties, etc. But I got this thing in my news feed about New York, this man's state, Cuomo State. So I said, you know what the show is going to be today? A pissed off Bernie voter is not a Biden voter. DNC, están escuchando. A pissed off Bernie voter is not a Biden voter. DNC, are you listening? ¿Están escuchando o no? Escúchanos. If the Democratic Party is looking for an antiseptic purge, it better be careful. Most Americans are neither Democrats nor Republicans, and Bernie voters make much better allies when respected. I suggest discarding the Bernie bro myth and try fairness and empathy. You see, too many rank-and-file Democratic voters have fallen for the right-wing techniques the Democratic leadership has used to stamp Bernie Sanders supporters as Bernie bros or somehow irrational. You know what? We are not. And you notice I took my host hat off. We are not. I want to back up a second here and remind people. I was a delegate personally. Now, this is personal. I was a delegate to the DNC in, where was it? Philly in 2016. I went there as a Bernie delegate, as a supporter of the Democratic Party. Bernie didn't win. Bernie had a lot of headwinds. The party did not want Bernie to win, and they have that right. Bernie supporters that are listening to me, the Democratic Party has the right to put whatever stops they want to whatever people, whatever their private thing, kind of thing, okay? But there are entry points for all of us, and we do need a structure within a party system. And if we want to build it quicker, as I've always said, you have to do it within the party system, in my humble opinion. Other people disagree, and I told other people, if you prove otherwise to me, bring me in. I'm no genius. I don't have all the answers, but right now, most of us see it within the party system that we have now. To break the party system, you have to be within the party system. But anyhow, so here's the deal. So Bernie's a big boy. Bernie knows what he was getting into. We would have needed our movement to have overwhelmed all the headwinds to win in 2016. And likewise, we almost did it in 2020. But again, when you have the whole system come against you, it is difficult for you to get the throughput. When you convince a group of people that it's existential if that quote unquote democratic socialist doesn't win and they believe you, you're toast. And that's what happened to us, right? We didn't sufficiently make the case. Everybody blame everybody else. Yes, I know that they didn't want us. They did not. But we needed to make the population want us. We don't care about what the powers want, but we had to make the population want us. We haven't yet successfully done that. But we're still working within Bernie was still working within the structure, and as he came out and he finished saying, okay, I will withdraw for party unity from the campaign, but I want to remain on the ballot. He distinctly said, I want to remain on the ballot to give those people that have been supporting me throughout this country the opportunity to put the vote that they wanted to place the vote that they wanted. They earned that. He withdrew from the race, and in withdrawing, he said, but I want to remain on the ballots. Do not use COVID-19 as an excuse, because there are a lot of other contests that people are going to be voting on. So COVID-19 is not an excuse. The only excuse that people people fear is that as COVID-19 is occurring, just maybe Americans see that the policies put out by the Bernie Sanders, well, I'm going to say by the progressive movement at this point led by Bernie Sanders, the only fear they have is that given that Americans have been asking, imploring for all these policies, and the only reason they have not supported a candidate that provided all those policies is that they have been indoctrinated, they have been brainwashed into believing that those candidates who support those policies cannot win. That's the only reason. Ironically speaking, though, right? Or not ironically speaking, but specifically speaking, we do know better. Because before I talk about New York, there are two items that I need to bring up here, right? And I want to, before I put it on the screen, I want to make sure that I have it. I want to have it here. There is so much information coming out right now that is showing us what Americans really think. And the first one I want to show is they've seen that we're going into that things are getting tough, right? But here's the deal. Let me show this one first. Here's the deal. If you take a look at this article here that I wrote this article over the weekend based on another one. What happens here is this. Denver health executives get bonuses. Employees get unpaid leave and furloughs, our form of capitalism. They are seeing that they're hoodwinked. They have in Biden, they have somebody that says, no, we don't want Medicare for all. We don't want UBI. We don't want all these other policies that Americans say they want, right? Because it's a giveaway. That is what Biden says. Biden says it's free stuff. You progressives want free stuff. We know better, right? We know the truth. He knows the truth. But for the plutocracy, he won't tell you the truth. But he does know the truth. Now we see exactly why. Because you have articles like this coming out now. Even with a pandemic occurring, hospitals are laying off staff and executives are getting bonuses as they lay these staffs off. What do you think the American population is going to think about that? So that was one of the articles that I wrote. So please go ahead and read it. It's on my page, the facebook.com/politics done right. It's there as well. But then we hear this, right? We come out and we find that Americans, including Republicans, all want what? Again, 69% of voters now want Medicare for all. No different than 2018, 6 points difference for Republicans, but they want Medicare for all. Check this out. Medicare for all continues to poll above 50%. So I wrote this little piece where I said Medicare for all continues to poll about 50%. Right now, we are still in the shock phase of the COVID pandemic. But as people get through the fog of the catastrophe, everyone will see skyrocketing healthcare bills and exploding insurance rates. The person who gets the Medicare for all, for whatever it is called, first will win. For those who believe hate for Trump will supersede one's personal economy, keep dreaming. Those who are politically apt know that Trump's promises mean nothing. That said, most people are not politically apt, nor are they difficult to convince if one person says they will give them health care while the other one vacillates during a pandemic. Should I remind you that Americans buy bottled water solely based on marketing when most tap water is just as good and sometimes better? So Biden better get with the program and start telling people how he will make their lives better. Specifically, he needs to talk in the now that addresses people's problems, just like the government. It's socialistically taking care of corporations as we speak. Use the pandemic as your cover to do the morally and economically responsible thing now. You will win over Bernie, Trump, Yang, Gabbard, Steyer, and Elizabeth Warren's voters sitting on the sideline in droves. In other words, you say you want those other people to come and vote for you, then let's get with the program. Give these people the things that they know they want, including Republicans, who 46% of them want Medicare for all. Over 60% of Democrats want Medicare for all. More independents want Medicare for all. For protecting the corporatocracy, for protecting the plutocracy, for protecting all these folks that you are not going to provide that says much. says much. And what Donald Trump is going to do is exactly what I said he's going to do. And he's going to go to the left of you and he's going to promise Americans, especially all these people in Appalachia that's going to be even worse off without health care. He's going to be promising them, hey, I'll give you health care. Look at what Biden says. That's a giveaway. And he's going to use Biden's own words on Biden if he doesn't get with the program. If he doesn't get with the program. Biden has an off-ramp now. The off-ramp now is to say, oh, the pandemic opened the eyes of many. Medicare for all is needed because next year the insurance companies are going to raise rates by 40% because of the pandemic and the amount of bills they have to cover. A lot of Americans, all of those that got sick, the thousands and thousands that got sick, are going to start receiving their bills in 2 months, and they won't be able to tackle those bills, brothers and sisters. Those bills are high. My daughter got a stroke this year, and her emergency room bill was $70-something thousand for 3 days. I want you guys to understand this is real. And Democrats, in trying to favor the plutocracy and not trying to look like the left-wingers, to appease the plutocracy, they even give more than Republicans do for their base. So, folks, against their base, that is. So, anyhow, the topic again, going back to what these guys are doing to Bernie and the vote. So I get up this morning and I read, right at the top of my feed, right on the top of my feed, this shows up, right? So I wrote this little piece. And the title of the piece sort of is the title of the show. A message, un mensaje al Partido Democrático, a message to the Democratic Party. A pissed off Bernie voter is not a Biden voter. A pissed off Bernie voter is not a Biden voter. Look, I'm an older guy. I am going to vote out Trump with my particular vote. Don't expect those folks that you're continuously stabbing, that you're twisting the knife, and that you're putting salt in the wound. Don't expect those people to enthusiastically come out and support the ticket you are going for. Because I'm going to tell you something, people, and I've said this before. The people that have the most to lose in this election are not the Bernie supporters. I want you to listen to this very well, people. Most of Bernie supporters have nothing to lose. They screwed under Biden as bad as they screwed under Donald Trump. After you have reached a certain level of being screwed, a delta screwing doesn't mean much. And if you understand that, if you start to understand that, you can have a little bit more humility in how you treat a Bernie Sanders voter right now that is completely and genuinely and justifiably pissed that a lot of headwinds came their way. But but again, Bernie's a big boy. Bernie's a big boy. Bernie stayed the course. Bernie supports the ticket. Bernie's doing what Bernie needs to do. But please, folks, don't sit back there and somehow believe that the followers of Bernie are sycophants to Bernie the way Trump supporters are sycophants to him. Because, like I said in the entry to this show, and I better get to that so I can read what I said. Because a lot of people sit down there and think Berniacs are really sycophants to Bernie. I spoke to 18-year-olds. I spoke to 24-year-olds. I spoke to 35-year-olds. I spoke to 50-year-olds. I spoke to 70-year-olds, all of them Bernie supporters, to see what it would be like if these were just people that wherever Bernie go, they're going. Remember that song I remember when I was in church? Wherever he leads, I'll go. Wherever he leads, I'll go. No. Wherever Bernie leads, folks ain't going necessarily. Removing Bernie Sanders from the Democratic ticket probably means those folks who would have gone and voted and bring up a lot of the progressives in the backside, or a lot of people that people want voted, ain't going to be there. Bernie voters are passionate about a necessary new order and are not going away. They saw the Democratic Party as a place with Congress interests. It will do the party well to change times and let that new faction ascend. They are not there to follow Bernie. That is the misconception. They are Bernie Sanders supporters. You need to understand this is a movement. Bernie Sanders is on top of the movement because he made the face of the movement. But Bernie Sanders is not this movement. And when you realize that just thinking you can screw these folks because now Bernie is on board, that somehow it's going to be okay, it's not. You have some of the older folks like me that sits down and make the calculation and that, but I'm telling you, most of the Bernie people, they ain't got nothing to lose. And I wish more of the rank and file Democrats, and by the way, all of us, I am a Democrat. I'm a left-wing Democrat, yes, but I'm a Democrat. A lot of Bernie supporters are Democrats. The majority of Bernie supporters are Democrats. But he has a hell of a lot of independents. He have a hell of a lot of Republicans. And he have a hell of a lot of others. Anarchists, you name it, the whole shebang. He has the truth. But again, when you have a destructive force trying to put you down, you have, again, I want the Bernie supporters that are listening, I want to tell you something, right? You can't be feeling sorry, or you can't be sitting down there thinking, oh, poor Bernie, or anything like that, because this is politics. And politics is not an easy game. Politics is a tough, tough, tough game. You can't sit back and just sit back on your laurels and think everything is going to be okay, or get mad when the bad things happen to you. You can't do that. That's not the game. The game is you have to stay in, and when you lose, you got to come back again. And when you lose, you got to come back again and again and again. And that is one of the things that I want to do with my programs, right? Instill empowerment and let you know that not because you haven't won this one mean that you end the game. You play the cards and you keep playing the cards and you keep going until you win. I'm looking for another piece that I did. Let me take that off the screen for now. Another piece that I did that I really wanted to show you all because where we have to get to, first of all, is instilling into these people who think that they're affecting by sticking the knife into Bernie's people, that somehow they are going to rid themselves of the ones that they're going to rid of, and then the others will be just fine. That's the wrong move. It is completely the wrong move. The right move is to bring Bernie folks in with humility into the party. Like be a humble winner, even though your win was a processed win. Because right now, there's a hell of Biden has some problems, okay? And the hammer is getting ready to come down. And again, some of us understand that this is a binary choice. We do. A lot of Bernie people are, and a lot of Americans themselves, looking at Biden right now as I got to get rid of Trump, I got to get rid of Trump. A caricature is about to be made of Brother Biden. And that caricature, let me put it this way. The thing that it would really be the demise for Trump is is handling of the coronavirus. If he doesn't get a chance to paint it into a manner that makes it look like everybody else is to be blamed, and by the way, he's good at doing that. He could get that done. But if he's unsuccessful in blaming everybody else, and the depression, as I expect, occurs, because I think the depression is coming, then what happens is we're going to find a real race. You see, right now, I don't think you have a real race, right? Right now, anybody else wins. We just don't want All right, Michael, I'll talk to you about binary choices, or you can tell me what you mean by it's not a binary choice. Because, again, my thing is, I don't work off of being upset, right? I'm upset for a lot of things, but I work off of, like I said, I'm not going to go against any of my brothers and my sisters who say, to hell with it, I'm just doing what I'm going to do. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm letting people why what I'm going to do and why I'm doing it with the expectation that people have enough respect for me that they'll either just accept that, go their perfect way, or look at that for some guidance themselves. I'm asking folks to look at some of what I do as guidance as well. And that's the reason you don't hear me come out and just blast and say, "Oh, to hell with Biden and Biden go down." I would never say that because it has nothing to do with Biden. It has everything to do with you. And I care too much about everybody else. I care too much about everybody else to just go ahead and go, to put it bluntly, go bat crazy. We can't do that. But anyway, now it's the time. So New York, New York, New York, you've done a horrendous thing. If you have time to reverse it, I doubt that you do. Put Bernie back on the ballot. Give Bernie's people the opportunity to choose the person that they want. And there is a possibility that Bernie could win some of these states. Let it be done. And then let however or whatever convention one has determine what a platform is going to look like. And by the way, the platforms, half the times you don't follow it anyway, but the movement must continue to enforce during this depression what the platform says and what the platform is going to be all about. Let me go to the messages right now. First of all, let me go and acknowledge all the people that are here. Michael Rudnin, one of my favorite researchers here in our team here at Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for being here. James Douche, thank you. Or Dush, I'm sorry if I said it wrong. Welcome aboard. Let's see. Let's go to now Michael Rudnin. Let's go to, who else is here? We have AVQ. I think I got it right this time, brother. AVQ, welcome aboard. Lawrence Sims, another good guy on board. I think, though, Lawrence Sims doesn't like it too much about Bernie, but Lawrence, I'm telling you, listen to my words. It's not empty words, brother. You know I love you, but we got to do things right. Michael Garcia, ¿cómo estás, hermano mío? Michael Garcia, welcome aboard. I'm going to talk about what you're talking about in a little bit, Michael. Let's see who else is here. Bruce Pollard, Steven on YouTube. Well, we have a lot on YouTube. We have AVQ on YouTube. We have Michael Garcia on YouTube. We have, let's see, Steven on YouTube, Michael Rudnin and Bruce on Facebook. We also have Kathleen Marin Morgan on Facebook. Thank you all for being here. All right, let me go with the long ones. Michael Rudnin, some of the long ones that you put there, I'm going to just kind of touch over, okay? This is blatant voter suppression. You're absolutely right, sir. The Democratic Party will do anything to screw progressives. I'm not going to quite say it that way because there are a lot of my good friends that are Democrats and they're true progressives. They just don't understand the Bernie movement, and that is one of the things that I do, as opposed to just opposing them. I go ahead and make them. Okay, let's get a call in. 516, come on in, 516.
How's it going, Alberto?
I'm fine. Who am I speaking to?
Julius, man, lived it. I called in a couple of times. Well, once before.
Who am I talking to?
But Julius.
Oh, Julius, talk to me, sir. Talk to me.
Yeah, I got the Bluetooth. It might not be, I don't know how it sounds to you. It might sound like I'm away with. Anyway,
no, you sound fine.
Okay, so, like, I just caught the tail end of your show again, man. And I wasn't sure, like, what was, like, is there, like, some, like, are they looking at, like, a contest? We're not talking about a contested party, are we?
No.
Like,
no, I'm
okay.
talking. We were talking. We had a lot of subjects today, but one of the subjects that we're talking about is that New York took Bernie off the ballot for the New York primaries, and we were upset about that.
Yeah, that's kind of. I think that's
terrible.
That's not good.
Yes, it's terrible.
I don't want to curse on your show.
No, don't curse, but because this one goes on KPFT tomorrow, so don't curse.
Yeah. That's not good, man. That's but you know, last time I spoke to you, we spoke about the possibility of at least some part of the progressive movement really biting down on specific issues.
Yes,
and you telling me about, and you told me about healthcare, and I look back at how you, because I just discovered you recently. You speak a lot about healthcare and
Yes.
progressivism. And, I've heard that before, brother, but I never really looked at it, and this is just me, I never really looked at it as a mobilizing thing beyond the fact that we all know we all need healthcare. But I never looked at it as like a social engagement.
Right,
thing.
right.
And then Corona happened. And now suddenly, to me, the healthcare issue and what you were just saying about the bills that are en route soon, right? That's the issue. I just wanted to, I know that's long-winded, but I just wanted to
No. Let me tell you something, Julius. Let me tell you, I love that you called in. I love that you said that, because I think that is something that I can talk to Michael Rodnin and Dora Griffin and Rose William. Rose actually was interviewed on us talking about her healthcare issue. Let me tell you something. You hit the money on the head. And for all of those of us that are listening, I'm running out of time right now, and I have an interview right after this show with another organization. But I tell you what I love of what you said. You called in a few weeks ago, and I made a blog piece out of your full statement, because you had a great statement to make, and that is, those of us, okay, so Bernie is not going to be the head of the ticket, but what we need to do is centralize on issues, and we are going to centralize on issues. And I mentioned on a couple shows ago that coronavirus gave us the opportunity, better so than Bernie could ever have, and that is that they gave an issue that everybody is going to see immediately. The 20% to 30% unemployment is going to show that having health care attached to employment and not Medicare for all is a clear and present danger to your personal economy. It's going to show that the type of billing that goes on in hospitals going to hold you hostage as you get your bills from those hospitals, and are most people that get those kinds of bills for the ventilators and all these things are going to be forced into bankruptcy. They're going to see that when you have pandemics like corona that don't only give you a temporary problem, but permanently destroy your lungs, that gives you strokes, that lose your legs, that you're now in the healthcare system with a pre-existing condition that private insurance are still having issues with. So there's so much to centralize on. And Julius, what you spoke about was so prescient, sir.
Keep doing the good work, my man. I'm going to go check out some of your writing too, man.
All right, you have a great day, and thank you for calling, okay?
Take care, my man.
Bye-bye. Okay, now let me get Lauren saying, I'm going from back to top now because I got to get out of here in about 3 minutes. Lawrence Sim says, Byrne tried to force his platform in 16 and did not accomplish that. It will take more than the same approach to get more than Lawrence, that's a complicated one, and I don't think I have the time to cover it right now. So let's bring that same statement up in our next show, Lawrence, because I really want to address that in detail, Lawrence. I really want to address that because what you just said is a very, very important statement, and there's a hell of a lot of truth to what you just said, Lawrence, but I want to explore it in a deeper fashion than just saying you're right. Because I have to let a lot of my Bernie brothers and sisters understand why your statement is right. Okay, let's go back and say, let's see. Dora says, good, some folks like, like the way we're going. Who should she respond to? Goodness. Okay, hi, Rose. Hi, Norman. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, Norman. Love seeing all my peeps here, right? It's fun having the family, the same family here, and every time getting new pieces of the family. Folks, welcome. I love having you here. While I'm talking this, I'm trying to scroll and read at the same time. Sometimes that's not easy. Lynn Birchfield, welcome aboard. What can we as Democrats do individually to garner support of Bernie supporters? I was actually bummed that Bernie didn't get more support. Bernie had the support, first of all, Lynn. What happened is the messaging went out, and we are all susceptible to messaging. Like I always say, that's the reason people buy bottled water. Bottled water is the worst thing on this planet. It pollutes the oceans. It gives you minute pieces of cancerous materials in your body. It costs a hell of a lot more than regular tap water that in most localities are better for you. But marketing makes a bad thing good for, make us buy a bad thing. That is what the Democratic Party did with the Democratic constituents. They lied to them. They made them believe that the best opportunity for a vote was Biden. What really happened here is the plutocracy got involved. Bernie was about to clean house. And then fear is a powerful thing. They put the fear into Americans that if you go with Bernie, it's over. Donald Trump's going to have fun with him. It's a joke. Because now that Corona is here, Corona made Bernie's point much better than Bernie could. We need some sort of a social safety net that when people are in dire straits, they can be taken care of. We need all these things. But you never get it. Folks, I got to get out of here. Come back tomorrow. We'll answer all these questions. Tomorrow it's 2 shows, right? We are going to be on air at KPFT 90.1 FM with this show. And we are going to be on all the networks with a new show. So there will be two Politics Done Right going at 3 o'clock. One on air and one on the internet. A separate one on the internet. Anyhow, I got to go ahead and say, folks, please remember that this is a show that needs your support. Please go to store.politicsdoneright.com. Again, that is store.politicsdoneright.com to support the program. If you do that, you understand that we can continue doing the program. But most of all, what I want to ask you guys to do is become subscribers. How do you become a subscriber? You become a subscriber by going to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the stream, right into the messaging right now. So if you go to that link, you can become a subscriber to our show, which means you allow us to continue, which means you give us the opportunity to go out there and do the job and continue empowering people. You can always just go ahead and do that as well at our paypal.me/politics done right. Again, that's paypal.me/politics. Wait, hold on. Michael Rudnin, don't be angry. That's not what we are going to do, sir. Come back tomorrow. We're going to be positive. We are going to get our issues out there, brother. Anger is what they want out of us. We won't give them the anger. We will give them results. We'll talk tomorrow on that. So, folks, again, please go to patreon.com/politics done right. That is patreon.com/politics done right. And I've already added that to the... Oh, I don't see it. Or maybe it was overwritten. Let me put it in there again. That is it right there. Patreon.com/politics done right. And of course, you can shop at our store and get the cup, the book, all of that at politicsdoneright.com. Don't forget, you can get As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. You want to learn about how the economy really works and easy to understand. That is the reason I wrote this book. I tell a story about how, and again, easy to understand in a way that you're going to enjoy. But look, I got to get out of here right now. I thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. I thank you so kindly for being the audience. I thank you so kindly for all the great information you give. I thank you so kindly for just sharing, which is something that we need to have you do. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I